If all of this actually happened in the 1800s, why did we need the Voters' Right Act of 1965? Hey guys, Khalil Shabazz, author of the book, Why Do Black People Vote Democrat? Many people have actually asked me a couple of questions for some more detail of the overall subject matter. So I've decided to shoot a series of teaser videos that's going to highlight the subject matter of each individual chapter and hopefully not reveal the shark in the first act. When I ask people why is it that black people vote Democrat, many of them will point to the Voters' Right Act of 1965.
3.5 centuries ago, the first Negroes arrived at Jamestown. They did not arrive in brave ships in search of a home for freedom. They came in darkness and they came in chains. And today, we strike away the last major shackle of those fierce and ancient bonds. Millions of Americans are denied the right to vote because of their color. This law will ensure them the right to vote.
Now, for those of you who don't know, the Voters' Right Act of 1965 was a piece of legislation that was signed on August the 6th by Democrat President Lyndon Baines Johnson. Now, this was a huge thing. This was, a part of the civil rights era, civil rights legislation, and this was one of the pivotal pieces of legislation that took place during that time period. At the signing ceremony, Martin Luther King was present, Rosa Parks was present, many of our civil rights icons was present at this signing ceremony. The Voters' Right Act of 1965 is what many people point to as the piece of legislation that was signed by LBJ, Democrat, that gave black people the right to vote. So when you ask people why is it that black people vote Democrat, why do they have this allegiance and this devotion to this particular party, many people will point to the Voters' Right Act of 1965. Now, for context, many people will point to Bloody Sunday as the event that gave LBJ the political capital to get the Voters' Right Act through Congress so that he could sign it into law. Bloody Sunday took place March the 7th of the exact same year, 1965. This is when you see images, video images, still images of our civil rights leaders marching from Selma, Alabama to Montgomery, Alabama across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. They were marching for voting rights. At this march, of course, you had Martin Luther King present, but you also had Hosea Williams present, and most notably, John Lewis. At this march, once they got across the bridge, once they made it to the bridge, you will see images of state troopers, Governor George Wallace. They confronted those marchers. Right? And you see the tear gas, you see the billy clubs, you see the German shepherds. That's why it's called Bloody Sunday, because quite simply, they got the hell beat out of them. John Lewis, you see iconic footage of John Lewis just getting stomped and kicked and struck across the head with billy clubs. These were Alabama state troopers that were acting under the orders, under the direction of Governor George Wallace and several others. But that event, Bloody Sunday, March 7th, 1965, is what culminated in the passing and the eventual signing of the Voters' Right Act of 1965 by Lyndon Baines Johnson. And that is the legislation that many people point to that justifies the devotion that black people have to the Democrat Party. However, the Voters' Right Act of 1965 did not give black people the right to vote.
Say what?
But it was actually the ratification of the 15th Amendment that actually gave black people the right to vote. This was February 3rd, 1870. February 3rd, 1870, the ratification of the 15th Amendment is what gave black people the right to vote. Now, this was after the Civil War, during Reconstruction. As a matter of fact, the 15th Amendment is one of the pieces of legislation that is known as the Reconstruction Amendments. It was one of three, right? But that is when black people actually got the right to vote. As a matter of fact, 1 month after the ratification, on March 31st, the first black person actually voted. March 31st, 1870. This man's name was Thomas Mundy Peterson. Thomas Mundy Peterson was the first black man to actually vote in American politics, and this was March 31st, 1870. Furthermore, something else you might not know, we actually had black men in the United States Senate in the year 1870. Right? The first black man to actually sit as a United States senator, not a state senator, United States federal level senator, was Hiram Rhodes. Right? He sat in one of two Senate seats that represented Mississippi. Also, we had a black man in the United States House of Representatives, Joseph Rainey, who represented South Carolina. This was also the year 1870. We actually had hundreds of black men in elected office all across the country, most notably during the years of Reconstruction. This was after the Civil War, directly after the Civil War, right? So this was long before, obviously, the Voters' Rights Act of 1965. So the obvious question is, what the hell happened? What happened? Why would we even need the Voters' Rights Act of 1965? If black people had the right to vote via the 15th Amendment added to the federal Constitution, and then you actually had black men in elected office. I mean, they actually ran for office, they campaigned, they actually secured votes, and they actually won. If all of this actually happened in the 1800s, why did we need the Voters' Rights Act of 1965? Well, that's all I'm going to give you, right? Like I said, this is the teaser, but that's the kind of stuff that I'm exploring and exposing. Those are the kinds of questions that I've been asking because people just don't know. Hey, I want to take this time out right now to thank my brand new patrons. I have a brand new level 2 supporter. I want to thank you very much. It's going to go a long way. It doesn't seem like a lot, but trust me, it definitely goes a long way, and it helps me out quite a bit. And I also have a brand new level 3 supporter, my man Sean Eric. I want to thank you very, very much. It's greatly appreciated. I thank you for donating your hard-earned cash, both of you guys. I really do appreciate it. I can't say thank you enough. Look, if anyone else would like to donate to the cause, please follow the links below. You'll see several different tiers. You have several different donation options. Donations start at $1 per month, right? And they go all the way up to $100. But look, all of these funds will go towards this particular project, right? I'm doing all the research myself, and so to help cover the cost, I set up the Patreon account, and it's also going to go towards printing the actual book because this will be a self-published project. But look, if this actually piqued your interest, I hope that you decide to like my Facebook page, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if it's in your heart, if it motivates you, if you have the extra cash, please, 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 please consider donating to my Patreon account. All 3 links are in the box below. This is Khalil Shabazz signing out. I greatly appreciate your time, and I will see you in the next video.